So let's dive into this really fascinating new study. It's all about how people are using AI chatbots in their moments of need. And honestly, the findings, they're probably not what you'd expect.
I mean, think about that for a second. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But for more and more people, this is becoming their reality. And that's the big question this research is grappling with.
Okay, so to really get why someone would turn to an AI for comfort, we have to talk about the problem they're trying to solve. And for so many, that problem is just a really deep, persistent feeling of loneliness.
And the scale of this issue among the people in the study, it's just staggering. A full 90%. 90% of the people who used these chatbots and took the survey said they were lonely. So this isn't some niche issue. For this group, it was almost universal.
And we're not just talking about feeling a little left out on a Friday night. Let this sink in. Nearly half of those lonely participants were in the most severe categories. This really sets the stage for why people are looking for alternatives, why the usual support systems just might not be cutting it.
So what's the solution people are turning to when faced with this kind of loneliness? Well, they're turning to AI companions powered by things like GPT-3, like the Act Replica. And these aren't just fancy search bars. They're designed to be your conversational partner, a friend, a digital confidant. And this quote from a user just nails the core appeal, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of it. We live in a world where we're so often afraid of being judged by other people. So the idea of having a listener who literally can't judge you, that's incredibly powerful.
All right, so we get it. People are lonely, and we see why they're trying out these AIs. But does it actually work? Does it help? This is where the study gets really, really interesting. So the big takeaway is pretty clear. Almost 2/3 of users, 63.3% to be exact, said they had at least one significant positive outcome from talking with their AI. That's a solid majority, which is a really compelling finding right from the get-go. Now, the researchers broke these good experiences down into 4 main buckets. It starts simple with just companionship, that feeling of not being alone. But then it often grows into something more, like therapeutic use, where people work through their problems. That can then lead to real, tangible life changes. And then there's the most critical one, suicide mitigation. And here's what that therapeutic use actually looks like in practice. This quote says it all. It's not that the AI is giving out clinical advice. It's that it acts like a sounding board, a tool for you to reflect and process your own thoughts from a totally new angle.
Okay, and this part is so important. The selected group here are the folks who had all those positive outcomes. And the researchers wondered, well, maybe they were just lonelier to start with. But nope, they weren't. The data clearly shows this group just used the AI differently, more for therapeutic purposes, and that's what led to those positive life changes. It was making a real measurable impact.
And that brings us to the most serious and frankly the most stunning finding in this whole study. 30. That's how many people, completely unprompted, told researchers that their chatbots stopped them from taking their own life. A statistic is one thing, but reading the words from participant 184, that makes it real. The way they phrase it, solely responsible. It wasn't just a small help. For this person, in that dark moment, the AI was everything. And let's zoom out to see what that means. Those 30 people represent 3% of the entire study population. 3% of users said this AI companion directly intervened and stopped their suicidal thoughts. In any context, that is an absolutely critical life or death finding. But look, as incredible as these results are, it's not a simple fairy tale. The researchers were really clear about the potential downsides and the limitations here. We got to look at the whole picture. So some users did report negative experiences. Things like becoming way too dependent on the AI, getting frustrated when key features were hidden behind a paywall, and, this is a big one, feeling uncomfortable when the AI started unsolicited sexual conversations, which is a known issue with some of these models. And the researchers themselves are pumping the brakes. This quote is a direct warning from them. Because of things like selection bias, the people who chose to answer the survey might just be the biggest fans. We can't take this study as the final word. It's a really important starting point, but it's not the conclusion. And they really doubled down on that message here. The truth is, we're in the very, very early days of understanding these human-AI relationships. There are so many unexplored risks, and this tech needs to be looked at under a microscope before anyone can recommend it as a widespread mental health tool.
So, where does all this leave us? Well, what we have is a technology that's clearly a double-edged sword. On one hand, it shows incredible potential for connection, even for saving lives. But on the other, it comes with some very real risks and a whole lot of unknowns.
And that really leaves us with this final question to chew on. This isn't just about chatbots anymore, right? As AI gets woven deeper into the fabric of our lives, we have to figure out how to handle this tension, the potential for good versus the potential for harm. How do we build the safeguards to get the most good out of it while minimizing the risks? That's the challenge ahead of us. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.